So when I came from Trinidad and Tobago to the United States, which is a great country, and I went to City College of New York. City College is called like the poor man's Harvard of the East. But you know something? It has 8 Nobel Prize winners come from City College in chemistry and physics. Dr. Jonas Salk, who invented the polio vaccine, came from City College as well. So I went there, I wanted to do meteorology, because coming from Trinidad and Tobago, you see a lot of clouds, you see like storms all the time, so I got very interested in meteorology. And I came to City College, and I thought I was so smart because I came on curiosity. And guess what happened, Joanne? Joanne, guess what happened? My first semester, I got an F. I failed Calculus 1. My first semester, I got an F in Calculus 1. It was so depressing, I thought I was the end of the world. I also went on vacation, and I had the worst vacation ever because I'm thinking about a class I just failed. And that kind of derailed my dreams. I want to become a meteorologist, but I need Calculus 1, Calculus 2, and I failed the first one. So what did I do? Again, I said to myself, this is never going to happen to me again, never again, to fail a class like that. And I came back, I bounced back, and I did Calculus 1. I did really well. I got a B+. And then math became my best subject. I have a PhD, I have a dual bachelor's degree in chemistry and meteorology, master's in engineering, a PhD in engineering. And to think of it, my first class was a failure in math, but I had to take a lot of math. I took as much math as a math majors or as a physics majors, complex numbers, Fourier transforms, many math. But my first one, if I went back, it was a disaster. So I learned it's not about where you start off, it's where you end up. And this is a lesson for you students. I know there's many students here as well. Okay, so if you fail, and I don't believe in students, I really don't believe in students with 4.0 GPAs. I really don't. I like to see a student who are very resilient. I talk in my talk, I mentioned resiliency, right guys? Sometimes I want to see a student take a hit and recover. Like you don't get all A's all the time. If you get a B or you get a C sometimes, you have to be able to recover from that and not fail or want to commit suicide and these things like that, So you have to be able to be resilient and bounce back from these challenges that you're going to face. So I did bounce back, and then I eventually, I got my master's, my PhD. And, when you get a PhD, you think that you're going to have a nice job, everybody's going to come looking for you for jobs. It doesn't work like that, because it was very tough. After my PhD, I can find a job for like 6 months. I could not. So it was very tough for me. And my mentor, Dr. John Phillip, he was the one who kind of helped me a little bit because, when I first met him doing my master's, he asked me one question. He was interviewing me to work in his lab, and he asked me one thing. He asked me, "Are you good, Louis?" That's what he said to me. "Are you good?" So what do I tell him, Louis? What should I tell him? Am I conceited, Louis? What should I say, Louis? What would you tell him? I am the best there is. That's what I told him. So whenever you don't have to be conceited, but if I tell him I'm not good, he'll never ask me again. I'm out of a job, right, guys? So that's a lesson for you. Don't worry about being conceited, but you are the best. In my class, I remember there's a movie called Firefox with Clint Eastwood. He's a very humble person. He went to Russia to steal a plane. That's what the movie is about. He went to Russia to steal his fancy jet from the Russians had built. And he's very humble, Clint Eastwood is. And the person who was helping him, a Russian man was helping him to steal the jet, he asked him, Gant, that was his name in the movie. He said, "Gant, can you fly that plane? Can you really fly that plane?" He said, "Yeah, I can. I'm the best there is." In a very soft way, he said, "I'm the best there is." So I am very aggressive, Joanne. I am a very aggressive person. You don't know that, right, Joanne? I am quietly very aggressive. So when I'm talking to somebody, Dr. Parasha, I'm grabbing ideas. I'm trying to pick his brains, take his brains and see what is he thinking. What's the next opportunity I could get from him or from you guys, So that's how we have to be as a student. Not be quietly aggressive is good, not overtly aggressive. So that's what I believe in. And again, when I got a full-time job at Savin Engineers. I applied for a job at Savin Engineers. And that was a great thing because as an engineer, every day I went to work, my boss, Fred, threw some project at me. He said, "Neal, this guy in Connecticut has a problem with his wastewater." Or the Yamuna project. We did some work on a Yamuna River project in Agra, right? We went there to the Taj Mahal, right, guys? So we had to hire some people from engineers in New York City to work on that project, in the Yamuna River project. And that was my first introduction to India, to work on this big project that was funded by Japan for like $500 million. But again, this job, again, it was a pressure cooker of a job because, again, but definitely it gave me a lot of confidence, So having a tough job is not a bad thing. It boosted my confidence that I can do anything in the world. Nothing was easy. When I actually got a job later on as a professor, actually, and I became a chairperson, and that was like nothing to me, being a chair of a department. But because after that job, I could handle any situation. So I was very quietly confident and very quietly aggressive, but not in a bad way, but that's in a good way to help everybody. Well, my organic chemistry teacher asked me to apply for a job. I'm working as an engineer already, and Dr. Malatia said, can you apply for a job at City College of New York because there's an opening for somebody with your background? And I said, I'm working for staffing engineers and making good money. I don't want to be bothered with the next interview, Dr. Parasa. So but he kept calling me every time. He said, Neal, come apply. And I said, okay, he doesn't bother me anymore, I applied for the job. I never told him that. I applied for the job, so when you apply for a job with no pressure, so I had zero pressure because I did not care if I got it or not, and then I got interviewed and they liked it. I had no pressure. So for me, that was a lesson for my students, because as a student, when you take a class, for example, just think of this. Do you read magazines? Do you feel pressure reading a magazine? Why? You don't have an exam on that, right? There's no exam in this magazine, right, guys? But when you read in a chemistry book, oh my God, I have to, No, just think of chemistry as a fun book, like a magazine. You got to trick your brain. I do a lot of things with brain science as well. For Greg Bruce, my friend, Greg won an Order of Australia medal, and Dr. Parasha and the guys from KIIT University, we're going to visit Australia, and many of you students will visit Australia as well, right? Put your hands up. All the Australian students who want to go to Australia, put your hands up from New York City. My gosh, we're going to take everybody here from New York City. Oh gosh. And Dr. Parasha and his students as well. But again, so if you can trick your brain to believe it's nothing, it's no big deal, you can do very well in these classes, like chemistry. So I tell my students, chemistry is fun. Fluorine is F, fluorine, uranium, and nitrogen. It's fun. So we have a lot of fun in our chemistry classes because we trick our brain to believe it's fun, so you have to do that as well. And in terms of my kind of experiences as a yatra, as a journey, this is one of my experiences. So I did a lot of work as a professor. I did become a professor, by the way, and work as staff engineers at the same time. I had a dual job, and they were conflicting for a while. Even though I was making a lot of money, I had to stop working there because I was not doing my work for the engineering company. I was not doing enough work. And that's about honesty as well, right, guys? I talk about integrity and stuff and resilience and honor. I was getting paid as an engineer and as a professor. But you know something? I wasn't doing any work as an engineer. I was not doing my job there. And they were very nice. Shay Gavin is from Ireland, a very nice guy. They were paying me, and I was not doing my work. So I quit that job and just focus on being a professor. And as a professor, I had some really great opportunities to do some fun stuff, like went to Colorado. As a student, I went to Steamboat Springs, Colorado with Professor Heinemann. That lab is at 10,000 feet in the mountains. Just think of where the clouds are, where the clouds are. That's how high I was living in a lab at 10,000 feet in the mountains of Colorado. I step outside, I'm in a cloud. I'm stepping outside, I see black bears, I see foxes chasing me down the place, mountain lions around the place. But you know something? That experience was the best thing in my life because I'm coming from Trinidad and Tobago, I never saw so much snow. I mean, look at the place. A lot of snow is up there, right, guys? But it helped to make me a strong person. After that experience, there's nothing I could not do again. So I keep building myself and building my confidence with these experiences, right? So I was in Colorado. I did a lot of different things. So, when you complain, you're not gonna make it, okay? And this is all the students here at KIIT University and KISS University. Never complain. Just make it work, okay? And in Spain we did a lot of work on using backpack weather stations, and I brought some of them for KIIT University. We'll give them a couple of the weather stations. So I could put it on my back and I walk around Spain or in the mountains of Mallorca, and it's tracking where I am. You can see the track up there. This is part of Mallorca. This track in Mallorca is measuring the temperature, humidity on a micro scale. This is very important because I can tell the temperature right in front of me. Normally we have weather stations, and those weather stations tell you what's the temperature in Bhubaneswar, for example. But I want to know what's the temperature in front of my house or in front of my person right here. We can use these backpack weather stations to tell that kind of information on a micro scale. Again, and KIIT and KISS will have those capabilities as well. And again, in Australia, so again, about being nonlinear, so we took Greg's source in Spain, and he said, man, you guys are doing some great work. Could you come to Australia and teach us how to use these things in Australia? So now we went to, he paid for us to go to Australia, actually, Greg and some students. And now they have adopted all these equipment that we have used in Spain and everywhere else. They have adopted them in Australia. So these are all about opportunities and being non-linear, okay? And this is some of the things in Australia. They have white roofs, for example. These are white roofs. So they paint the roofs white because, again, if you paint the roof white, then the sunlight gets reflected and it keeps it cool. So one particular person and one business person in Australia, the bill for the year, the electricity bill, was negative $2,000. That means they got $2,000 back because this white roof makes the place very cool, and they have solar panels as well. So we learn, when we go to Australia and these different places, we learn about sustainability, and we come back and we bring them to different countries, India, Trinidad, Tobago, wherever we go. We just pass on the knowledge about being service to students, service to the humanity as well. So this is the first station, and you can see Greg Bruce from Australia. He's there too. He comes wherever we go. He's embedded in sustainability. He's an ex-special forces soldier, but he loves sustainability. So he travels everywhere we go to do sustainability work. And this is, again, some of the things, the backpack. You can see the students walk on these backpack weather stations. Oops. These are the backpacks we walk with. This is Hemwati from different schools. These are, equipment that tell you the temperature, the humidity, carbon dioxide as you walk along. This is Nariman Point, and this is Nariman Point. This is in Delhi. You can see the students are walking here. Kamau is now a student in Taiwan. So students move on. Hemwati is working for BASF, that chemical company in New Jersey. Kamau is a medical school in Taiwan, of all places. So students get some really great experiences and move on and translate that into really good opportunities for themselves, And this is, you could tell, this is by the Indian Parliament in Delhi. As you walk along, it's tracking your temperature, your humidity, carbon dioxide. So we are doing these kind of work in all parts of the world, in Spain, in Trinidad, in Mallorca, in New Delhi, in Mumbai, etc. We are doing all these kind of different types of work. And we believe in science and philanthropy and science and community engagement. So wherever we go somewhere, last year, Milton, stand up, Milton, stand up. Stand up. So Milton, so we came here this year, Milton. We were here in India this year. We were in there last July as well, and we were in Palga district. We had asked one school, Zilla Parasha School. We met them and we had some nice engagements. So we asked the principal, what do you need, principal? What can we do to work with you together? And he said, listen, we need sports uniforms. We have 190 kids, we need sports uniforms. So what Milton and everybody else, Milton and the other students did, they raised money. Somebody gave $20, Dr. Hans gave $100, Dr. Therese gave $200. We got enough money to buy 190 sports uniforms and sneakers for the kids in Palga District, Zilla Parasha School. So we believe in working with the communities where we are, where we embed. We are fully embedded with the communities where we work, okay? And not as some kind of colonizers. We learn from India as well. We come here. I went to Ahmedabad. I learned from those kids over there building some nice sensors, In New York, we pay a lot of money for sensors. But at Ahmedabad, they only have $20. They build them for $20. So there's a lot of good things happening in India as well. So we come to India to learn from you. And, you can come we also bring students from India to come to New York City. We had students at Maharana Pratap University in Udaipur, Rajasthan. They came to New York. They spent 6 weeks with us. We had them in a big, nice house. And they had so much fun. They're doing a lot of STEM activities. And they went back. And I got recommendation letters for Japan for them or this other country. They all want to move on. And so there's a lot of collaborations. So we come here, and we want to see you come to New York as well and other parts of the United States to work with us as well. And you can see this is an eco-village, again, non-linear. Here I am. These are these are some gifts we brought to the kids in the eco-village. And the kids are flying the drones, gave them drones, zero waste. We brought them from New York City because the kids who had those drones didn't use them. So we brought them to India so we could give it to the kids in the eco-village. And the kids were flying the drones. We also do things in New York City. We have an India Center. We have the first India Center in CUNY. CUNY is the largest public university in the United States. We have, again, 8 Nobel Prize winners. We have 300,000 students there in CUNY as well, right? Raghu and you sign up, both of you? Yeah, so these are students who come from India to go to school in CUNY. So thank you. So CUNY is, I mean, the United States is very interested in having students come, student mobility. You know, we do a lot of work on climate change, but it's important to have student mobility from India to the United States and back and forth as well. So we encourage you, if you know, you want to get a visa, you talk to Dr. Parasha, he'll get you a visa, Dr. Parasha, right? But this is we have an India Books Corner. So we come back to New York, and we set up an India Books Corner. So anybody who wants to learn about India, they come to the library in our corner. Again, we set up a corner for books, all India-related books. And these are the kids in the Zilla Parashat school, you know, who we connected with. They're very beautiful kids there, and we connected with them one time. So you can see we set up all these things. We found a way to give back to the communities, you know, guys, and donate to the communities and work with the communities as well. And these are all the stations we have installed in different parts of India. We have 22 stations installed in India. This is Dr. Professor Sen, who is my collaborator. She's not here. She's from Bengal. So anybody from Bengal? Put your hands up, Bengal. Who speaks Bengal? So I got to say, come on, Acho. How response? Tell me. Balu Achi. Yeah, she told me to say that to you guys, okay? And these are, again, a lot of community engagement with the students in India. Lots of good engagement. So we had a Puri Beach. We had a cleanup in 2022. We had some nice engagements there in Puri Beach. We're removing plastic pollution. We got rid of almost 352 pounds of kilograms. And we had a nice sign. Mr. Pat Naik, the famous artist from Orissa, he drew this nice art for us, you know, and with a CUNY logo, of course. And we came back in March again, so we've been back to India 5 times this year. This is back in March now. We did the next beach cleanup with some nice volunteers, some of these local kids in Puri Beach again. So lots of good engagement, lots of things, but you can see all non-linear, right, guys? And service, and with honor. That's what it's all honor, right?